What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Around the Clock. Today, I'm going to give you an update on my 911. Welcome to Around the Clock. My name is John, and my personal goal is to own, experience, and modify as many unique cars as possible. Alright guys, once again, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Around the Clock. For those who are new to the channel, my name is John, and my personal goal is to own, experience, and modify as many unique cars as possible. So for those who didn't see the last episode, I pretty much just did a walk around going over the specs and everything of my recently acquired 07 Carrera 4S Aero car in speed yellow. And when I do the walk around, it's pretty much in stock format, and I've definitely been working on the car and making modifications since then. So today I'm going to share with you all the changes that I've done and kind of give you an update on where everything is at. All right, everyone. So as you can see, the car definitely does not look stock anymore. So let's go ahead and jump into the modifications that I have made already. So we can start with the front. And as you can see, we did the Morimoto XB headlights. I've had these headlights on the last two 997s that I've owned, and I absolutely love the way they look. Like I said, I love the black housing, love the silver trim around the edge. It represents, like the factory headlights have the same outer ring and the same pattern. And also, I love the daytime running lights. So, you know, it has the 4 LEDs and looks like a more modern P car, but I think that the black housing with the silver outer ring goes along with the rest of the theme of this car. So as we jump down here, these are the LED fog lights and also turn signals. But normally I will run the daytime running lights, the 4 LEDs on, and then I'll normally run these as well. And if you turn on your parking lights, just the outer edge will light up white. When you pull the knob in to turn on the fog lights, this inner part here lights up white, and then obviously the turn signal lights up amber. So as we come around to the side here, you can see we also have a set of Morimoto XB smoked side markers, which I do like. Obviously the turn signal, when you turn them on, they light up amber. And what I did was I used my Foxwell scan tool to code these, different than OEM. So normally these lights come on when you turn on your parking lights or your headlights. All three of these are normally on, but I feel like it's kind of busy when you have all that lighting going on. So I got another set of side markers that are actually sequential, and they're currently at the shop being color matched to the car, because when you turn on these lights, parking lights, I have it coded to where it doesn't come on unless you put on the turn signal, then it'll light up amber. But because yellow is kind of a lighter color, it will still be translucent. So when it's off, unless you're using the turn signal, the side marker will actually be the same color as the car. As you can see, we do have these black headlight washers in on both sides. So this car came with chrome ones, but I actually removed them, and they are currently being color matched to the car as well. As we step around here, you can see that I've actually replaced the hood crest. Now, before I ended up with this one, I bought another one that was like custom, and it was really nice looking. The attention to detail was really nice. It was actually black, silver, and yellow, but the shade of yellow in the emblem was a lot lighter than speed yellow, so it looked really weird and off, so I ended up removing it. And as I started looking for another emblem, I found this one, and this is an OEM crest that you can get from your Porsche dealership, and the finish is called Turbo Night, and I believe this was an option on brand new 992 turbos, and I think it just flows very well with the theme that I mentioned. I'm going with this car, which is going to be kind of yellow with silver and dark accents. So another thing to go over is this car previously had holes put for a front plate on the bumper. And aside from that, and then also there are some like indentations in the bumper. You can tell like maybe somebody, I don't know, backed into it or bumped into it. There are like indentations about the same length as, say, license plate bolts. It looks like somebody bumped into it, but aside from that, the bumper is actually in great shape and it doesn't have like a ton of rock chips or anything. So I actually ended up getting these plugs from bumperplugs.com, and it's awesome because you can put in your year, make, model, select the color code, and you can get these plugs that are already color matched to the car. Now, when you are buying these, they do give you an option to get a drill bit, and it's a very specific size, and you want to make sure that you use that because if you drill a hole too big, it won't sit nice and snug, and if it's too small, it just won't fit at all. You'll have to like try to force it, and it probably just won't fit right. I ended up, buying the drill bit as well, and I want to say everything together was maybe $50 shipped, but it's a really, really nice option for those who have holes and just want to make holes less noticeable in the bumper. Also in the front, you will notice that there is no front lip on it, and that is because if you watch my previous videos, I'm a huge fan of color matching them. Now, when I first picked up the car, it had an OEM style front lip on it. It was aftermarket, but it fit very well. In addition to that, I bought an RS style front lip, which I've run on my silver 997 in the past. And I really like the way that it looks. But this time around, when I ordered it, the package arrived like folded in half. So it didn't fit too well. And I know sometimes with them, you have to put them out in the heat, and then you can stretch them out more and get it to fit better. But I ended up finding one locally on Renlist from a owner that had really nice collection of cars, and he used to have a 997 GT3 and also a 997.1 Carrera. So he had all these extra parts that were brand new. He never put them on, and one of them was an OEM RS front lip from FVD Braunbacher, and the fitment was perfect on it. So I ended up buying that from him, and that is also currently at paint to get color matched to the car. Now, as we step back, you can actually see that the car is lowered. So with this car, I did go with a set of H&R lowering springs. And the reason I went with it is because when I first picked up this car, obviously I have a budget that I have to have for modifications. And initially, I really wanted to put a really nice set of coilovers, which would be, say a Bilstein PSS 10, maybe some sort of KW variant, but you're looking anywhere between $3,500 to $5,000 for a set of coilovers. And the thing for me is I'm not tracking this car. It's purely aesthetics, and I would much rather put a quality spring on this car instead of some inexpensive coilover. Another risk you take when you're installing lowering springs is once you install it, the height is what it is. There is no adjustments or anything like that. But I actually ran these same springs on my first 06 Carrera S Aero car, and the drop was perfect. So that is the same with this. And also, this car has PASM. And for those who aren't familiar with what that is Porsche's active suspension management system. And when you press that button, it stiffens up the suspension and makes the driving experience a little more engaging if you want to do some spirited driving. And with lowering springs, you get to retain that feature, which is great. So obviously, anytime you alter the suspension, you also want to do an alignment. So I did take it. Huge shout out to my boy Darnell. He always takes care of me. And mounted and balanced the wheels and tires, and then also did an alignment. So that is a perfect segue into the wheels and tires. So with this car, I ended up going with a set of staggered 19-inch Advan GTs. Now, when I was trying to decide which wheel to go with this car, I was thinking initially to do the Workmeisters again, just because I felt like it worked so well with the 997 chassis. but I just wanted to do something different. And I do like the way that these wheels look on this car. Like, I really like how concave the spokes are, and I like the nice lip. It really gives it kind of like a race look. And with the speed yellow, the aero kit, I think it just kind of flows with the sportiness theme of this car. And I did go back and forth trying to decide which finish I wanted to do. This finish is called machine. It has a machine lip, and then the face is hyper black, even though it's more of like a lighter gunmetal. And it was either between that or there's a color called black titanium, which is actually a black finish metallic flake in it, and it looks super good. But I thought that the silver with gunmetal would be a much cleaner look, so that is the route that I went, and I don't regret it. Also, you'll notice that I do have the Porsche center caps on there, and those are the center caps from my factory turbo wheel. So for those who didn't see the last video, this car was spec'd with turbo wheels from the factory. And while those center caps are showing signs of wear, they look better than the center caps that actually came with the car. So the center caps that came with these Advan GTs were actually like a painted silver, and it just said Advan GT, but it was definitely a shade off. It looked like a completely different color than the face, and it wasn't polished, so it was just like a painted silver, and I didn't like the way it looks. But I did order a different set of center caps. They're actually OE caps, so I can't wait to show that to you guys whenever it comes in. We'll go to the top. So these are OEM Porsche equipment roof racks. And the reason I went with this is, for those who don't know, my in-laws, grandparents have a beach house, and sometimes we like to take the kids there. And, well, normally when we go as a family, but there's very limited space in the trunk. So we do have a cargo box there, and I thought that it would be really cool to be able to utilize that cargo box on this car. So I did get these OEM roof racks from Suncoast, and I absolutely love them. And the install was pretty easy. There was a video online, and the fitment, quality, everything is perfect, and I absolutely love the way that it looks on the car. I also installed this Thule. I believe it's like a Motion Air XT, and it's basically a wind diffuser. So we were using this cargo box on trips and stuff for our Range Rover, and I will say you do get a little bit of noise once the cargo box is on. You have air going underneath it, and this is actually like a wind deflector, so it should help reduce wind noise. But personally, I think it looks kind of cool. It goes with the rest of the car. Whenever I put it on the car, I may just run it without it and see how much noise there is to determine, but I just figured I'd put this on for now, and then we'll figure it out later if I want to change anything. So as we come around to the back, you can see I did the Morimoto XB taillights, just like the headlights and the side markers. I ran this exact same setup on my last two 997s before this, and I absolutely love the way that it looks. So for those who aren't familiar with them, they make them in a red or smoked finish. Personally, I like the red with the kind of like smoked gunmetal housing in the center. I just think it looks nice and clean, and it contrasts really well on the yellow and flows with the brake calipers, and also segueing into this rear badge. So this is a 992 style rear badge, and I did get it in like a chrome finish. And then I bought the red S separately just because I knew that there would be red accents on this car. So I think everything just kind of ties together really nicely. Recently, I also added a couple other small accessories to the car. One of them being this. This is a factory pocket umbrella, and this compartment here is factory. So it's made specifically for this. It sits nice and snug, and I just think that it's pretty cool. Cool little detail just to kind of make the car feel a little more special. This is a fair weather car for me, so I couldn't really see myself driving it in the rain or snow or anything like that, but I could if I wanted to. I mean, after all, the car is C4S, so it's all-wheel drive, and it could be driven in any weather. I just choose not to. Lastly, this is a pretty cool accessory that I added, and this is a factory like aluminum style like fuel cap from Porsche, and it actually comes with this sticker too. This is a more modern version. It basically says the same thing down here, but I'm assuming maybe they include it just in case they're assuming that maybe this wore over time or something like that, but I just put it up top. And like I said, cool little accessory just to make the car feel just that much more special. That is pretty much it for the exterior and where we are at with that. There are a ton of items at paint right now, and in the next video I'll be going over what everything is and actually throwing it on the car so you can all see what it looks like. One of the last things I will mention is the fitment of these wheels is I'd say pretty conservative. I mean, it's pretty good, but there's definitely room because I like to have my stuff sitting very nice and flush. It just makes the stance more aggressive. So I do have some spacers that are on the way, and that will bring the wheels just slightly more, just to give it more of an aggressive stance. And before I forget, I also did the Renline stud conversion kit. So for those who aren't familiar with these cars, normally they have lug bolts, which you have to put the wheel up to the car and then make sure you line it up perfectly and put the bolt through. With the stud conversion, you basically just install the studs and you mount the wheel onto the studs, which makes it super easy, and then you put a nut through. But the cool thing about that is if you throw a spacer on there, as long as you have enough thread, you can just take the wheel off, put the spacer on, and then put the nut through. But ultimately, you just want to make sure that you have enough threads to still tighten everything down and have it be secure. But super happy with that. So next, we will go to the inside of the car. Also, you can see I did my IG decal in this pretty cool finish. It's black chrome. So basically, my local decal shop, they took a chrome decal and put tint over it. So it gives it that black chrome look, which actually is more gunmetal and matches like the center of the wheels. Also, you can see with the key, I got a cover that goes over it. That's a very similar yellow. And also I did a red crest just because that's kind of the one of the accents that's going on with this current car. So moving on to the interior, as you can see, it's pretty much stock looking, but I did replace this. And for those who aren't familiar with the radio, this is the PCCM Plus. So basically it is a factory upgraded radio from Porsche, and it actually has Apple CarPlay and stuff. I can't get this cup holder to close here, but I will mess with this. Oh, okay, there it goes. So this is a factory upgraded radio option from Porsche. Also got this from Suncoast. And it's really nice because the factory radio is pretty dated looking. It had like numbers over here and the screen was much smaller. But this one was really nice because not only is it plug and play, so you don't lose sound quality like this car does have the Bose audio system, and I do enjoy listening to music. In addition to not losing sound quality, the fit and finish is perfect compared to the factory trim. Like if you look at the finish, it is exactly the same. So everything matches perfectly. And I will say the radio is really nice. It integrates into all the factory data that you would normally have in your factory PCM, like disabling your daytime running lights. It'll show like fuel consumption and all the data that your factory PCM would show. This one shows it, and it's touchscreen, and it has CarPlay. Now, my biggest reservation about this radio is the fact that it had the USB port up front, and in order to get CarPlay, you had to plug like a hardwire USB cable into it. And normally, in my previous 997s, they both had aftermarket radios, but they were not the PCCM Plus. And normally the wire comes around the back, and what I do is tuck it behind this panel, and I normally put a small hole into this little cubby hole here, and then I usually have the wire just coming like right out to this mount. But because the USB was up front, I couldn't do that, but I did find this USB dongle, and through social media I've just saw a lot of advertising for it where they say that you can convert your wired CarPlay to wireless with this, and it actually works very well with the PCCM Plus. So even though I'm not a huge fan of having this kind of long dongle sitting out here, it is better than having a wire to me. And if anything, I may look at different ways to maybe either relocate this USB to the back so this way it can be nice and clean, but for now it works. Also, the only other thing on the interior that I've changed is this. This is the ProClip USA phone mount. As you can see, it wraps around onto this panel, so it's out of the way, it's nice, it's clean. And this is also the same mount that I've been running on my last two 997s, just because I like the way that it looks. It's made specifically for this car. This part is made specifically for my phone, and it just slides in and everything looks nice and tight. Otherwise, the only other thing on the inside that I changed are these dome lights and the map lights. I changed that all to LED. They were normally just like a regular bulb, but I did change that just to make it feel a little bit more modern. But go ahead and lock the car. Other than that, that is pretty much where we are at with the car. But I will say in about a week, I should have everything back from paint. And that's what the next video will be, is I'll go over all of the parts that got painted, and we'll actually throw everything on the car, and you'll get to see it pretty much completed, because after installing all the painted stuff, I really don't have any further plans for the car. I just want to drive it and enjoy it. I know historically I've owned stuff, and as soon as I'm done modifying it, it ends up going, and I don't really get a chance to enjoy it. But for this car, I do plan on driving it and enjoying it for a while. My goal for completion was based around Impact. One of my best friends is getting married in about 2 months, and his bachelor party is going to be around Impact. My goal was to have this car completed by then, but I think that I'll have plenty of time, because I am anticipating this to be done by next week. So that is pretty much it for today's video. Hope that you guys enjoyed the content. If you do, consider subscribing. Otherwise, I will catch you in the next video. Peace.